So here we are in Foxhall, which is one of the more expensive DC neighborhoods. I mean, it's probably in like the top 3 or so. And it's one of the places where lots of liberal and Democratic Party heirs, and even people who made their own money, and senators and congresspeople and media people live. There are, of course, virtually no black people here, or Hispanics. Probably some Asians. If you saw a black person or Hispanic here, they're working here like on a house like this, because houses here are constantly being renovated and built and sold, like this one, because these people are all lobbyists or elite high-level federal and World Bank and International Monetary Fund bureaucrats or lawyers, and they all live off your tax dollars. Not all of them, but a lot. In particular, David Gregory and Tom Daschle, whose houses we will be walking by in this tape, unless I run out of battery or tape. But I have my other iPad with me, so one way or another today I think we're taping them. Daschle lives at 2830 Foxhall Road. This is 2509. I can assure you these two cars do not belong to the owner of that house, or even their teenage child, should they have one, but instead belong to the help. And in fact, in general, everyone here, their luxury $50,000 to $100,000 car is parked in a garage beside or behind the house. And anything parked on the street, and also anything parked on the, even in the driveway, belongs to the maid or the nanny or the gardener or the contractor. It does not belong to them. And that might even include the Mercedes or the BMW you see parked on their driveway. It probably belongs to their realtor or to their interior designer, and not to them. Theirs is in the garage behind. Anyway, the houses that are off this noisy street are, of course, somewhat nicer, but get from one end of the neighborhood to the other, it makes sense to walk on the noisy street. And also Tom Daschle, who was going to be appointed to be the HHS secretary, lives on the noisy street. David Gregory lives on this street, Dexter. And I think we'll go up to Tom Daschle's house first, and then come back and take a gander at David Gregory's house down there. Anyway, I call this whole area Upper Caucasia. It's where all the people who scream at you and call you a racist because you oppose their politics have chosen to live in a city that's 55% African American, and back when some of them bought their houses, it was even more African American. But they've all come here to live in $2 or $3 million houses in a zip code that's about 5% African American, and in a piece of the zip code that's even less African American than that, because they don't practice what they preach. There are plenty of historically black and integrated neighborhoods in D.C., Hillcrest, Anacostia, Crestwood over along 16th Street, where you could buy houses much like these. You could renovate them inside if they weren't already renovated, and they would probably cost about 2/3 as much. You wouldn't be as close to your swanky friends unless they also chose to move there. But the main difference is you'd be a little farther east, and more of your neighbors would be black. And no white liberals, virtually none. No famous white liberals have ever done that. None of them live there. That is not what they do while they scream at you and call you a racist. They live here where all their neighbors are white and ruling class. Anyway, I think we're going to get to Tom Daschle's house. I certainly hope we do, because that was the only point of doing what we did. I usually drive along here. Today I'm walking and carrying a bike while carrying an iPad. And it goes a lot faster when you're driving, because people really speed on this little section. There are no turn-offs. People just drive through this to get from one end of Foxhall down to the other end, or to go from American University, which is way up at just north of Foxhall down to Georgetown, which is just south of Foxhall. Anyway, you can see we're on the edge of a park called Glover Archibald Park. On the other side, over where Andrea Mitchell lives, there is a Battery Kimball Park. All these people live against private parklands that are publicly maintained, but they get the benefit of it. Nobody can come here because there's no public transportation. So no poor working class black people come here and use these woods or these parks. Maybe at most in Georgetown or AU students might occasionally go running in them. Someone might walk their dog. But the parks are basically for the enjoyment of these politically connected multimillionaire lobbyists like Tom Daschle. Okay, so Tom Daschle's house is there where the little Volkswagen is parked. 2830 Foxhall Road. It's a relatively simple house. If you actually look at the virtual tour, which has been online for a long time, of what his house looked like when he bought it. I have no idea what it's like now, but when he bought it, it was quite fuddy-duddy. It was full of like weird periwinkle blue, whatchamacallits, curtains and overstuffed weird furniture, old people furniture. Anyway, I've actually seen him at the local hardware store here. So that was the Tom Daschle house and the Tom Daschle block. I think we can get across the street without getting killed. And we have about 9 minutes left on this tape. But I don't think that's enough to get back to David Gregory's house. So I think David Gregory's house gets its own tape. And there's Tom Daschle, who's now a healthcare lobbyist, since he did not get to be an Obama czar because of his numerous connections to the pharmaceutical industry and everything else.